Grab your favorite drink, find a quiet place, and enjoy the movie. This film will take us on a journey of revenge, confrontation, violence, and corruption, where staying alive becomes harder than death itself. All this and more will be revealed in this movie. The story begins with Officer Brant sitting alone at home, when suddenly he sees a group of young men trying to steal a car. Brant decides to grab his hockey stick and confront them. As Brant approaches, the young men are shocked by his presence. One of them demands, "Give me your wallet," while another threatens him, saying, "I'll carve my name into your face with a knife if you don't give us what we want." At that moment, Brant attacks them with the hockey stick, knocking one of them to the ground in pain. Brant tells them, "I've never played hockey with this stick. I've always used it to hit people or imagined myself playing hockey." The next day, Brant goes to work as if nothing happened. There, Falls meets him and says, "I'm really upset because they rejected my promotion request and I feel frustrated." Brant tries to calm her down, saying, "Promotion requests are usually approved eventually. You just need to try again. Work harder, and you'll definitely get it." At this point, we discover that Brant is a well-known police officer respected for his competence, but he has one major issue. He is extremely angry and struggles to control his behavior. Meanwhile, we meet Brown, the police chief who comes to Brant, upset about Brant's recurring problems caused by his anger and recklessness. Brown tells him, "Your photo was shown in the newspapers along with the youths you beat up yesterday." The media portrayed the story as if the police were enforcing the law incorrectly, writing that every officer enforces the law based on their mood. So, take a break and rest for a while. Brant refuses, arguing, "They tried to rob me, and one of them threatened me with a knife. It was only natural for me to defend myself in any way possible. If you were in my place, you would have done the same." Brown responds, "Fine, you can stay on the job, but please try to stay calmer next time." Later, Brant attends the funeral of his close friend Inspector Robert's wife. After the funeral, Brant takes Robert to a place to change his mood and cheer him up, helping him cope with his grief. Meanwhile, Sandra, a policewoman, is on patrol alone in the streets when suddenly an unknown person attacks her. The attacker pulls out a gun and shoots her in the neck, killing her. The attacker flees, and Brant receives a call from Brown, who orders him to go to the crime scene to investigate. When Brant arrives, Falls tells him that Sandra was her colleague during police academy days. By then, the media has begun publishing news about the incident, and Brown gathers all the officers, announcing that Detective Nash will lead the investigation into this case. Brown urges them to solve it as quickly as possible because the press is attacking the police. At this time, Falls' neighbor, Mike, whom she treats like a brother, tells her, "I was selling drugs on the street with my friends when a Russian guy showed up, and a fight broke out between us. We beat him up, and I think he died. If you help me get out of this mess, I promise to quit dealing drugs." Falls is shocked by his confession, but decides to help him. Later, she goes to Brant and asks for his assistance with Mike's situation. Brant tells her, "Go to Inspector John. He'll help you if he knows you're coming from me." Meanwhile, journalist Thomas receives a call from the killer, who says, "I'll make you famous. Publish my message. I plan to kill every police officer in the city, one by one." The killer hangs up, and soon after, he approaches a police officer on the street, provoking him with words. Suddenly, the killer pulls out a gun and shoots the officer in front of everyone, causing chaos. Naturally, the media turns the situation against the police. When Brown learns about it, he loses his temper. Meanwhile, Nash and Brant begin searching for any clues that might lead them to the killer. Nash reviews surveillance camera footage, while Brant searches in his own way, visiting places where the killer might be hiding. During his search, Brant meets a man named Reed, who claims, "I know the killer's identity, but I want money in exchange for the information." Annoyed, Brant beats Reed and forces him to talk. Reed reveals the killer once killed a police dog at a gym and filmed the act, posting it online as part of his training to practice killing police officers. Armed with this new information, Brown and Nash continue their investigation. Brant visits Nash's house and tells him, "The person who killed the dog and filmed it is named Barry. But as viewers, what do you think Barry is truly the real killer?" That's what we'll find out in the upcoming events. Later, Thomas begins telling Brant about his past, saying, "Before I became a police officer, there was a man in our neighborhood who used to harass kids. I always reported him to the police, but they said they had no evidence against him. I decided to take justice into my own hands and kept beating him until he died. No one knows about this, but I'm telling you because I trust you." Brant replies, "Justice must be served, even if you have to enforce it yourself." Brant and Nash track Barry to his house. When they see him, Brant remembers seeing him before at a casino. Brant attacks Barry because he once saw him hitting people with a pool stick. Afterward, Brant and Nash leave his house. Meanwhile, Reed continues to monitor Barry, hoping to gather more information. Eventually, Barry goes to Inspector Robert's house intending to kill him, but Robert fights back. Ultimately, Barry overpowers Robert, kills him, puts on Robert's clothes, burns his body, and escapes. Barry then calls journalist Thomas, saying, "This time, I killed Inspector Robert. Write this down and mention that the killer's name is Blades." Afterward, Barry goes to a garage, leaving Robert's clothes and all the evidence in an abandoned car. Reed sees him and quickly calls Thomas, saying, "I know who the killer is, and I have evidence, but in exchange, I want $50,000. Meanwhile, Falls visits John. When John sees her, he is smitten. Falls begins telling him about Mike's situation, but John interrupts, saying, "It's simple. The Russian guy is still alive, and I can handle the situation easily." Falls also develops feelings for John. Later, journalist Thomas investigates the evidence and confirms its authenticity. He asks Reed for the killer's name, but Reed refuses, saying, "I won't tell you unless I count the money first." Reed enters the bathroom to count the money, but suddenly Barry arrives, kills Reed, takes the money, and escapes. Afterward, Nash and Brant arrive to investigate with Thomas, who claims, "I don't know anything except about the evidence." They go to the garage, but find the evidence missing. Surveillance cameras are broken, so they turn to Barry's criminal records instead. They discover that Barry has been imprisoned multiple times for violent crimes, and all the officers involved in his previous cases were killed one by one. But who do you think will be the next victim? Let's find out as the events unfold. Realizing that Falls is in danger because the killer plans to take revenge on her, Brant urgently tries to warn her by calling her repeatedly. Falls is outside her house when Barry attacks her. Mike rushes to save her, but Barry brutally kills him. Barry then flees as he hears approaching police sirens. Falls is devastated, crying over Mike's death. Soon after, Brant and the police arrive and are shocked by the scene. Brant releases Barry's photo to the media, hoping someone will recognize him and provide information. A call comes in from someone who identifies Barry's location. Brant and another officer rush to the hotel where Barry is staying. They storm the room, and Brant sees Barry escaping. He chases Barry through the streets, leaping between cars until he reaches the train tracks. There, Brant manages to catch him. He tries to attack Barry, but bystanders intervene and restrain him. Barry is taken to the police station, where he refuses to confess and demands a lawyer. The lawyer argues, "There's not enough evidence to convict him. Unless you can provide definitive proof, he'll be released within 48 hours. Nash and Brant realize, "We know he's the killer, but we have no evidence against him. We might have to let him go." Brown responds, "The justice system doesn't rely on feelings, it relies on evidence. Without solid proof, he'll walk free immediately." Determined to seek revenge, Brant and Nash devise a plan. Brant will provoke Barry with words, making him so angry that when Barry is released, he'll attempt to kill Brant. They ensure Barry believes he's being monitored, so he'll target Brant. But in reality, Brant is the one doing the monitoring. Barry is released due to insufficient evidence and begins acting like a celebrity, enjoying media attention. Meanwhile, John comforts Falls over Mike's death. When she asks about Brant, John tells her Brant and the other officers went to Inspector Roberts' funeral. At the funeral, Brant stands grieving the loss of his friend Robert, frustrated that he couldn't avenge him. However, Barry, disguised as a police officer, stands near Brant, confirming that the plan is underway. Barry continues to monitor Brant, waiting for the right moment to kill him. After the funeral, Brant goes to the garage and contacts the surveillance team, learning that Barry is supposedly still at home. In reality, Barry is disguised as a police officer and hiding in the garage. Meanwhile, Brant climbs to the top of the building, with Barry following and watching him. When Barry reaches the rooftop, he points his gun at Brant, demanding a face-off. To his surprise, the person confronting him is Nash. Suddenly, Brant attacks Barry, beating him mercilessly until he falls to the ground. Barry tries to threaten Brant, saying, "I'll sue the police and demand compensation." But Brant replies, "This time, I won't hand you over to the law. I'll personally deliver justice, and no one will ever know it was me who killed you because the surveillance team is at your house, unaware that you're here." Suddenly, Brant pulls out his gun and shoots Barry, ending his life. Nash takes the weapon to conceal it, ensuring no evidence links them to the crime. Brant and Nash agree on a pact. This will be the first and last time they take justice into their own hands. From now on, they vow to follow the law strictly, allowing the courts to take their proper course. And thus, the movie concludes.